So what the fuck are you guys up to these days?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, Liz is over here going to like mastermind after I don't know how you can get so much mastermind in your life.
Well,
Like,
that's my favorite thing.
You get a lot of brain, Liz.
Excuse me?
What?
Yeah.
No, you're everywhere. What's been going on?
With masterminds?
With you.
We are currently in, by we, I mean me and my inner child. Just kidding.
The voice in my head.
But all of us, all 7 of us, are currently in Austin, Texas, here for Paleo FX, the conference of the year. I'm ready to be their sponsor. Like they're like automated, whatever. We could do a quick little video.
Yeah.
Here's what Paleo FX is all about: ginger kombucha, RX bars that could make a car, and bone broth made out of dicks. Welcome to the event of the year.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Thank you. Yeah, so
that'd be good
that's
content. Yeah.
that's that. We just got back from Costa Rica, and in a couple weeks here, I'll be shipping off to Bali for a
Bali.
month.
You've been to some of the woke places most woke places on the
No,
planet.
I think next is Dominher.
I don't know what that is.
Ooh.
Is that like low key, like something I don't know about? Is it
Yeah,
too cool for me?
it's 2 Encinitas for you, bruh. It'll call
Encinitas
you in when you're ready.
It'll call to me.
Yeah.
Like ayahuasca, like
kinda
my
like-
mother.
Aw.
Ooh.
Exactly like that. She got the call.
Aw.
She's ready to start her hero's journey. She got the call, y'all.
Is that how you start
Are you
your
gonna
hero's
answer the
journey?
phone?
Bring.
I feel like that. I feel like that when I'm meditating, when I tap in. I'm feeling super tapped in right now.
Bring, bring.
I feel the most tapped in of any paleo
Sounds like
effects.
sounds like Yoshi in what was that video game? Bring, bring.
Oh god.
You know when you can
yes.
ride
You got the
Yoshi?
jewels?
Yeah, dude.
Yoshi was one of the dopest Mario characters of all
One
time.
of the dopest, dude. A dinosaur
And
laying
Toadstool.
eggs.
Toadstool and Yoshi
Like,
were the
come
fucking
on.
1-2 punch. They were the combo.
Oh, my
Mario and
gosh.
Luigi were overrated.
Yeah.
Fucking Toadstool and Yoshi. Seriously, fucking savages.
And then the princess was always lame. I was like,
She was always
where's
just-
the princess's Me Too movement? Stop getting saved by motherfuckers. Save yourself, bitch.
I know, you're the one that went with a freaking dinosaur
Yeah,
turtle.
well, I mean,
with spikes on its back.
everybody knew that guy was a douche. Like, come on, ladies.
Listen, ladies.
Like,
You could have
be
locked your
more
castle
affirmative.
doors.
Yeah, you're like, that guy looks safe or terrible.
yeah.
Like he literally just exited hell here to make me smell his.
I think we need to empower the princess to, like,
Mm.
take care of herself.
I would love to see a resurgence of Mario where the princess is really just trying to get out on her own. It's
Yeah.
like, no one's
More-
coming for me. It's up to me now.
Yeah.
More gender neutral.
Yeah.
It's
I,
on
I, so
brand.
I feel super fucking weird going into a gender neutral bathroom.
Mm.
I'm not. I wish the bathroom
Yeah,
just said
I
like
don't love it.
fucking everyone can come in here or so anything besides like I'm not gender neutral. I don't want to go into a room for gender neutral people.
Oh.
I would
Mm.
like to go into a room that says anyone can use this bathroom. Like yes, if it just said fucking bathroom on the door, that would be cool too. But I do not. I feel uncomfortable when some of the Starbucks have a gender neutral sign,
Well,
and I'm like, you could,
Where it's
you
like
could,
half a
you
guy and half a lady.
could phrase that better. It's just like a whole group of people, and I'm like, there are a
they
lot
should
of
just
people
put
in here.
Yoshis on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put Yoshis
Just
and
confuse
Toadstools.
everybody.
Like, dude,
Only
you're cool here.
dinosaurs can go here. People will be like,
This is where they lay their
"Ah."
eggs. How do you feel about it now, Connor? No,
Like
I-
Daily Juice, they have a mermaid, and it just says whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's perfect.
That's what they have on the
Oh,
door.
cool,
It has
that's
like
epic.
a mermaid with like boobs, and then like something that looks like a man, and then it just says whatever on the top of it.
cool.
Like I
I'm
like
into
your
that.
sign.
I like that. And yeah, no, I get why that's a thing, and I support it. But I also don't like the idea of like a dude going around me.
No,
the
no.
bathroom.
I think a group bathroom
It's
is
like a
like
little
is
weird.
exclusively for clubs, like group shared bathrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's, if
That's
it's,
just
if
so
it's a,
people can fuck in the bathroom.
it's
Let's
a-
just all get
well,
real about
and-
that.
well-
Like at the W with like the single stall, it's so you can do lots of drugs
Yeah.
and sleep with people in the bathroom.
you don't
like,
sleep with them. I
or
think you
fuck
have,
them really hard against a wall. I don't, or
Or
over
gently,
a
or
toilet.
you can make sweet love in there if you really try hard
You
enough.
could.
Depends
don't
on. I'm
turn
pretty.
on the lights.
I'm pretty tapped in as we've covered.
I don't know anything about this conversation.
No, you don't.
No.
You have to keep that censored, or your brands will bail on you. You can't get Tide sponsorships anymore.
Listen, this
Hi.
is your podcast. They're never gonna see this. They'll never see
They're,
the light
they're
of
not
day.
listening. They're not listening to your shit. It's okay. Nobody,
not
from,
either.
True.
nobody from the Tide Executive Committee is like, hold on, let's go over to the realness.
I need to
See
check
what
out what's
he's
real.
Whoa, guys,
put
chill.
down.
What's real today?
He's like, okay,
Chill.
threesomes, hot girls, some wellness.
Yeah. The corporate world is really into the realness, by the way. Just be real.
Prob not.
It is. It is.
Check this
So-
out.
No, but the gender neutral thing. Don't want to leave this. I feel like there is a better way to say that. And
Abby.
I think,
Oh, sorry.
what
I
are you
didn't-
doing?
She's doing her own commercial.
I'm doing a brand.
over
I'm
here.
getting you a brand deal, dude. Watch
Are you?
this. Yeah, we're gonna be like, just podcasting here with the realness.
Just for those listening, she's doing a really awkward sip with the label facing the camera.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
a healthy
Like you're in
kombucha.
one of those weird movies where people all of a sudden are like, "Here's the Coca-Cola." Just
Yeah.
pick it up.
I
No, it's
will
right
not
there.
bow to
Dude,
any
okay,
sponsor.
so no, this is no shit. So I saw a Coca-Cola ad one time.
Yeah.
Right, and I was driving behind this Coca-Cola truck, and it had this ad on the back of it, and it was a girl like leaned back drinking a Coke, and the label was out. But I saw it like out of my peripheral vision first, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I looked at it, and I was like, I sat there and watched it for a second at a stoplight, and I'm like, "That is subtly, it's real though. This is real. Looks like she's sucking a dick." I was like, it was like the way she had her hands placed, and the way her mouth was, and the way like her whole. I was like, it looks like that Coke bottle.
You
is
could
a
just
big
take it out and put a
black
dick in her mouth.
It was that's exactly it's out of my because that's what it looked like out of my periph. I'm like, what the fuck?
Your
I'm like,
periph.
oh, and then yeah, I was like, wow, Coke, and I'm like, damn, Coca-Cola is on top of their shit. That is some solid marketing. Wow, because you can't not look at that when you see it. Like I did a double take.
Well, yeah, they do that intentionally.
Yeah, I know it's awesome. That was funny as hell.
That's like subliminal messaging.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's
Sex
also-
sells, y'all.
The
So
Nazis
sells.
did it.
Marketing
too.
101. Sex sells.
Yeah, I sell sex, so that works really well for my business.
Well, yeah, you need to take your shirt off then.
I feel like it doesn't
You
work
should be
for
doing
me.
shirt.
I look way better with my shirt on.
Hey, listen.
I haven't let myself go as of late.
It's all about
That's not
self-love.
true.
It is true.
Let's talk about self-love.
What?
Let's
How do you?
not.
How do, yeah.
Do you know how many influencers come to me and they're like, I'm like, what's your brand strategy? They're like, I want to like help people with self-love. I'm like, well, you need to get a new brand strategy because people are not searching for that online. Let me tell you.
Are they not? What are people searching for online?
Oh, they'll search about like the deepest, darkest things. Like, how do I get over whatever XYZ divorce? How do I lose this? How do I not cry myself to sleep? Like they'll look at, things
How
like
do I
that.
stop cutting myself? Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, they won't be like, how do I love myself? No one's searching for that. Come on.
I don't
Even
know.
though it's what they all need.
Yeah,
what
but what
they
people
all need.
want, what people need, are never really. They're not synonymous. Like,
That's-
they don't really work together.
It's true.
Yeah, people come to you saying they want one thing, but really, if you're a good coach or you know how to work with people, that's not actually what they want. Like every person in wellness comes to me and they're like, I just want to be skinny. Like I just want to be fit and skinny and fit into my clothes.
Yep.
And then you get down to it and they hate themselves and are not having sex with their husbands
They're
and like are
lonely.
miserable and lonely and they have no self-worth and you're like, so
A little
you
deeper.
think it's about your diet and your exercise. That's not the issue. The issue is you don't think you're worth it. And so in the end, that's what you end up circling back to. I just did that big marketing thing for my new program. So I'm interviewing all these women, every single one of them. First thing, what's the one thing you want to change? I just want to be skinny. I just
Oh,
want
gosh.
to, or, I want to lose weight. I want to be fit. I want to be strong, whatever. And then at the end, one of the questions I ask is, what does your inner bitch say to you? And they're like, I'm a fat, lazy piece of shit and nothing's going to change.
Mm.
And I mean, more than half of the women said that. Like, it's like this big thing. And they're like, I was like, well, what's going to happen if that happens? And they're like, I'm going to be miserable. What's going to happen if that happens? I'm probably going to get sick and die alone. And I'm not going to be able. And I'm like, all right, now we're talking about something real.
Now we're-
I'm like, so why hold that whole you want to lose 15 pounds? So maybe that's not what it's about. But you can't market to those big things. You can't be
right.
like, here, let me help you.
Let me solve all the world's problems.
Yeah,
in
no,
one
I
short
market
session.
and say I'm going to make you skinny, and then you come to me, and then I go, watch this. We're not going to talk about that at all.
exactly what I do, dude. That's exactly what I do.
Anybody who's successful in fitness or health or wellness is exactly the same thing. It's like
true.
you're not there because for the fitness necessarily.
You're there for
like,
emotional
it's good for you
support.
or whatever, but there's something
Really.
that brought you in there, and it's like, is it connection maybe? Is
Yeah.
it validation?
Yeah.
Is it you want to feel seen and you don't feel like you're seen because you don't look good enough or whatever the excuse is? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe you're just not surrounding yourself with people who know how to fucking see you.
It's
right?
true. Or
Like,
maybe you need
that's-
a lesson in confidence. Just
Maybe.
own it,
But
girl.
what is confidence is such a fucking weird word. What does confidence mean?
Confidence means being comfortable in your own skin
It
and
doesn't.
not caring what other people think, really.
But everyone cares what other people think.
Nah,
We're
to an
validation
extent.
seekers. Yeah.
It's a spectrum.
But when do you, that's a hard line to draw. When do you care about what people think and when not to care about what people think?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's emotional intelligence.
It
Oh my
is.
God, quit
Have
using
you heard?
buzzwords?
It's true, though. That's
No,
what
like
it is.
Mel Robbins did a really interesting talk about confidence, and her thing that I thought was really helpful for people to understand is confidence is number one specific to the area, so you can be really confident in one area of your life and like have no confidence in another area. And people think like I'm going to be confident, and it's also situational. So you can feel confident about this around these certain people, but then you go over with these people and you feel terrible, like you don't know what you're talking about. And so understanding that about yourself and realizing, like kind of almost plotting it out of like, I feel like I'm good in these areas, but these search situations bring up this. What is that actually bringing up in me, and what are the different things I can work on in that area? And that confidence is an action-driven thing. And so the only thing that makes you confident is to act more like whatever that is that you want to be.
Act as if.
You know, and so it's not really fake it till you make it, but if you want to be confident in that area, then what are the steps that you need to take to feel confident in that area? And if it's wellness and you need to be you want to feel good walking around in a swimsuit in front of your fit friends, what does that look like? It means you better get your ass to the gym and stop eating some ho-hos.
Yeah.
I got one tip for you.
Tip of the day. Put the ho-ho down.
Well, that's
Ho.
but the
Drop the ho-ho.
Ho. Nailed it.
so when you look at that though, right? Like you have
Nailed
to
it.
understand the parts of yourself that you can be confident in. Like you have to really be objective about yourself and know that there's things that you can be confident in about yourself, and also things that you can be confident that you don't have confidence in. That's important
Yeah,
too, right?
it's
It's
true.
like you need to be able to be confident in saying I don't know, like and not knowing, because
Yeah.
that creates the environment for learning.
And
that's a great way
connection.
of being, and connection as well. And
Yeah.
some people love to teach. Like not knowing is fine because people generally love to teach, right? And love to. And if you can surround yourself with people who love to teach, and you are okay not knowing every goddamn thing,
Yeah.
then maybe somebody can teach you something, and then that leads to connection.
Totally.
And
Check
then
out where you go at the dough.
Yeah. What?
Well, also working with
Check
people.
your ego at the dough.
Anybody that actually knows something that wants to work with you, if you come in acting like you know things, I automatically reject you as a client.
Yeah,
Like, because I won't
100%.
be able to get you anywhere. Because if
Yeah.
you're coming at me being like, well, I already know this, and this doesn't work, and this does work, and this, that, then you don't need me.
Yeah. got it all figured out there,
Obviously,
eh?
it's working great. Maybe not, but I mean,
It
it's
seems
just
to be.
so silly. It's just one of those things that people come in and they just think like if they're vulnerable at all, that it's going to look like they're an idiot. But then if you ask them, what do you like about people? It's people being vulnerable and honest.
Yeah.
And like, no, you never look at somebody and been like, oh, you're an idiot. I can't believe you didn't know that thing. I mean, nobody ever says that. So it's like, and you like it in other people, but then God forbid you act like that in front of somebody else. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Well, I think one of the reasons people like vulnerability is because it gives them permission to be vulnerable. That's one
Exactly.
thing I like
Totally.
about this show. I think this show isn't about anything. It's just authentic conversations with really interesting people, right? And we just say ridiculous things and have a great time.
real.
Yeah,
For
for real.
real.
But and that's
For
what's
real.
fun about it is like all right, well, let's just create an environment we can be extremely vulnerable. And thanks to Abby, the best intern on the planet.
We love
uh,
Abby.
We
all
love
love Abby, and she's made me get more vulnerable because she calls me out for when I'm not being vulnerable.
Yeah, she's good. She's
And she
key.
does it. It's awesome. But no, it's really fun. And then that gives permission. Like it's almost my responsibility then to like bring it and set the standard for what that is. So it gives people that are on the show permission to share that. And I do that in my regular life too. It's fucking awesome. And people always value it, but don't really know how to do it. Because a lot of times, if you're vulnerable in the wrong areas, you can get fucking run over real quick.
Ooh.
That can turn into like
Splat.
you can get and then
Frogger style.
like that like avoiding like
You're like, I didn't know this was a game. Shoot.
yeah, right.
Logs flying everywhere.
Like avoiding vulnerability is a defense mechanism that serves a lot of us at one
Totally.
point. And if you live your whole life that way, it kind of sucks. But at some point, especially when you're like, I don't know, when do you get patterned your behavior? Fucking, is it good to be vulnerable in the 4th and 5th and 6th grade when kids are fucking savages?
Brutal.
Probably not. So if you maintain your level of vulnerability from junior high and take it into your adult life, it's not really playing and not really serving you anymore, right? So it's funny because you're just clumsily trying to figure out life always. You just pretend like you have it together sometimes.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things, I'm helping to raise two tiny humans that are 8 and 12, and one of the things, of course, I'm completely nerded out about brain psychology of small people and like parenting and all that. And the biggest thing is a safe environment where they start to learn that emotional intelligence of who can you be vulnerable and share your stuff with, and when does that not feel okay, and like how to judge that. And we just had a circumstance with our 6th grader that one of his good friends, announced on the bus that he was on ADD medication and he was a psycho and told basically the whole school. And like he's 12, and he's like a big, strong kid. But when you really got to it, that like hurt his feelings, like terrible. And now the kid won't really own up to it and is trying to like throw it under the table. So it's been a really interesting conversation. It was like,
dude.
number one, you got to set a boundary and say, this is not okay with me. And until we write it, I'm not going to be able to be friends with you. And I was like, but I'll, I'm like, Ian, this is adults do this to each other. I was
true.
like, this is a lesson that you're going to have to learn over and over and over again. Sadly, you're going to put your trust and your vulnerability into somebody, and somebody's not going to step up to it, and there's a way in which to then act on that trust and allow them to recover it, but knowing going forward that they stepped a line and you can rebuild it over time. But I think a lot of adults have that problem too. It's like, you're either one of those people that's kind of open and trusts everybody and continues to kind of get your face slammed into the dirt and kind of that victim, like everybody's screwing me, but then you're just like emotionally throwing up on everybody. And I'm like, well, maybe don't be a dum-dum. And then you have those people, like as soon as somebody does something bad, they like karate chop you and you're dead to them, which my sister is big fan of that method. But and there has to be some balance. You have to allow people to be people and make mistakes and be able to forgive people, but at the same time be able to judge those relationships on what is healthy and what is not.
100%. I think there's something there, like the level of your level of vulnerability and your skill set of creating boundaries. Direct correlation.
100%.
If you want, the more vulnerable the better you are at creating boundaries, the more vulnerable you can actually be.
That's
and
true.
Boundaries are weird because like that's something that I've learned the hard way over the past couple of years, where it's like, fuck,
Me
man,
too.
I'm like, everybody praises my vulnerability. Like, oh man, you're like, that's like a superpower. I'm like, cool, yeah, but it also I've been like taken advantage of, not as a victim, but like I put myself in situations because I was valid. I brought that into my life, and it's like, fuck, man.
Same.
I didn't even realize that was like everything has a shadow, right? So it's like, well, now I have to go into my own world and figure out how to create fucking boundaries.
I know. I had to learn that too last year. Like I was in some situations where I was like, I just allowed whatever, and then it didn't feel good, but I innately trusted people because I do innately trust people. And I just didn't think that like people could do wrong in that way because it's so foreign to my way of being. Like I don't lie, I don't manipulate people. I'm just like, you guys know, I'm like the most upfront person ever. And also like if I'm not feeling it, I ain't feeling it, and I'll tell you. But I'll do it respectfully. And so I feel like that's not everybody though. And I learned that, and it was tough. It was really tough. And now I'm in this like weird matrix where I have to decipher like, are you trustworthy? Are you trustworthy? And I'm like, I've never lived this way before.
It feels so natural.
It does.
It feels so natural, and it's like
It's weird. But there's a dark side of humans.
Your roommate
we
Sam,
talked about it.
yeah, we have, and everybody. I don't think people are doing this consciously. I don't think people are are energy suckers. Like it's like I've actually started reading this book called Psychopath Free.
Yeah, I recommend that.
Oh
that
yeah,
to you.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it's intense.
It was because it was playing such a fucking. It was like these people they want to do this.
Yeah, there's like a malicious intent.
It was a very like malicious intent, conscious that you're a victim. And then I realized I just learned more about the guy, and I was like, this guy is like painting people to be. He's not empowering people. He's like making them. He's pushing them deeper into victimhood.
Well, some people do have.
Some people do, but
personality disorders.
They do, but even those people I don't think are consciously.
No, it's an actual disorder.
If you look at like sociopathy and things like that, where it's like your moral guidelines are just altered essentially
Yeah, it's true.
from for some reason.
From
And so,
childhood.
So for you, it feels the same to do the things that you're doing as it feels for me to be like morally succinct.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're wrong, like that you're bad. It can be cumbersome, and you have to be able to have an eye for that kind of shit.
It's
But
true.
I don't think those people know that. I don't think they're like actively
I think some people are actively, but that percentage
as a
is
whole though.
tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 1% of the population is an actual psychopath, which so you're gonna run into them. And,
Yeah.
and they can mentally just fuck you over on purpose looking at your face. But the reality is most people are just so unaware of their behavior. And the other thing for people that are real giving and naturally don't think that way, to like really state boundaries is really hard for us because we're like, what? I mean, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah.
Nobody would act like that. And then my boyfriend's like the exact opposite. He's like, they're going to fuck you over. Like, no, they're not. Stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
But you have to actually, before, I see a lot of people just get mad at people. And I'm like, well, did you tell them that wasn't okay?
Yeah. 100%.
I'm like, number one, first tell them it's not okay. And then if they do it again, then it was something. But a lot of people just act completely selfishly, not thinking about anybody else, and it feels like they're doing something to you. Really, they're just looking out for themselves. They didn't even think about you.
Yeah.
And then you got to go, this isn't okay with me. This is how you teach people how to treat you. And so until you're okay with being like, that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
So you're going to act differently or we're not going to be cool.
Well, and this thing, that's a big piece of ownership, right? You teach people how to treat you. That's a really strong statement because then sometimes, and I've been in this scenario where it's like, I have patterned the way these people treat me in a way, and it's honestly not even worth me undoing that and redoing it. It's like, I'm just going to be like, and I'm going to have to let this go. I'm like, no, this is never going to, there's just all that I can do. I'm not going to like actively go in here and try to rewire this. I'm just going to make space. Okay, cool. Wow, I feel I feel like a lot of freedom in that, and that's really important. That was easier for me, but that's a defense mechanism on my end. Is like creating the space just because I didn't want to fucking deal with it anymore. It was like, and this is where like it's energetically expensive.
It is. It can be draining AF.
It's like I'm just like, this is not, the juice is not worth the squeeze here, man.
It's true.
And that's fucking crazy. It's a crazy feeling to do that. It feels transactional to me, which makes it feel kind of gross. But I don't feel like there's any other way to do it.
Yeah, well, it's literally your brain forms differently as a child if you're neglected or in an unsafe environment. Like your brain, like the area for emotional intelligence in your brain doesn't fully form correctly.
Not even as a child, as a fetus, like inside in utero.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, like
it can be innate.
You're
it can be
prepared
learned.
for as a fetus. You're prepared for what your mother's environment is. So your brain is wired for what your mother's environment currently is as you're inside of her.
Yeah.
Well, the even crazier part is when you start going even deeper, and they're like, you as an egg was in your grandmother because you were in your mother's uterus. You were in your mother as a baby, as an egg, and so really it can go as far back as your grandmother's environment, and you could be holding on for crazy trauma if they went through something insane, like they go through and do like concentration camp, third generation concentration camp, and they're still having fight or flight mechanisms as your grandparents were. And so it sounds woo woo as fuck.
That's
but
nutty.
no, there's something
that's real.
That's like the morphic resonance field.
Yeah.
That, Rupert Sheldrake talks about. Yeah, it's so fucking crazy.
I mean, it's crazy.
And it's like you can take, and then I think was the little chicks they use, like little chickens or like little birds.
Yeah.
And there was ones that I don't know how many generations it took, but like they never knew what a hawk was, and they had never had any interaction with their parents. They were just born and they didn't know what a hawk was, and if they flew something the shape of a hawk over them, they would all freak out.
Yeah.
But they would do other shapes and it was fine. Like a circle was fine, square was fine. But if it had the shape of a hawk, they would freak out. And they would try to run from it, right? They would scatter.
Oh, wow.
And it was like they were reacting to something they'd never seen before, and it was so instinctual, and they just never had. And it was like generations down would do that.
Dude, that's cool. That reminds me of when I was in Peru. Have you ever been to Cusco, Peru?
Yes.
You
it's the
have?
best. It's beautiful. It's one of the
Okay,
best
have you
towns.
done the
It was one of
walking
best cities
tour?
ever. No, I didn't do that.
Oh, okay, cool. I learned something. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have
Facts.
permission to continue?
Yes.
Connor's favorite
Peru
question.
facts.
Peru facts. I don't know. I don't want to totally butcher it, so don't hold too much weight on this. But the walking tour guide, basically, he was like, in Peru, Or not Peru. Yeah, Peru. Cusco.
In Cusco, Peru.
Cusco is the shape of a bird from above.
What?
But when they built it originally, the architect for the city they didn't have aerial technology. So he did a vision quest, saw what the city was supposed to look like, came back and built it that way.
What?
And you've been there, so you've seen like Sacsayhuaman and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
What's
gosh.
a Sacsayhuaman?
I was in. I
like
studied anthropology in
Sacsayhuaman.
school. I was. Yeah, that's what they do. They're like Sacsayhuaman. It's up the hill. Just kidding. That was a very Asian.
That was very
accent.
Asian Peruvian. Oh,
Dude,
God.
did you eat Peruvian corn? Inca corn?
I did that, and then we ate the guinea
So
pigs
good.
too. Did you eat
So
guinea pig?
good. No,
Qui.
no.
Qui.
I went hard on
I
that
don't
guinea
think-
pig.
Oh, gross. Anyway, so he did a vision quest and then saw the vision of what it was supposed to look like. It was a bird. It's like a what do they call them? Like a symbol, different word for symbol. It's like a sacred symbol.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's very cool. But Sacsayhuaman is a rock formation. It's like a whole city, town, or whatever. And the boulders, the rocks in it, there's nothing keeping them together, and they're perfectly like
Yeah.
it looks laser cut, but they didn't have that technology back then, or did they?
It was also aliens.
Bananas.
Yeah,
It was for
basically
sure
It was for
aliens.
sure. I'm sold on aliens.
Something. It's a superhuman.
I think it was so funny that we had this idea from like the Flintstones or some shit that like these people before us
These
weren't
rock
super intelligent.
Oh, it's
They were
no
so
way.
much more. There were
ridiculous.
things that they could do that we have literally no idea. And
Yeah, like Machu
honestly, the funny
Picchu.
thing is like, oh yeah, this is so crazy, and the pyramids are so stacked up in this certain way, and it's like could be, and it's like, dude, you just have zero context.
Yeah.
To them, what they did, like cutting these things a certain way, wasn't even that big of a deal. Just like my
No.
iPhone isn't that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's definitely extraterrestrial in some ways. Did you go to Machu
What
Picchu?
the fuck? Yes.
Listen. Oh my
oh
gosh.
my god. Are you about to give me conspiracy theories?
Okay, so I got another tour guide fact for you.
Beep-boop.
Peru facts.
Peru
facts.
facts.
Hashtag Peru facts. It's like Carfax, but for
Yeah.
Peru.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I didn't do the tour at Machu Picchu, but I did overhear a tour guide, and he was talking about there was this big bowl, like if you were about to go hug a tree, for those who can't see, your arms are like spread super wide and like a huge, really shallow bowl. And he was telling them that they would fill that up with water at nighttime, and that's how they were able to look at the reflection of the stars in this shallow bowl of like a big shallow bowl of water, and then they would draw it onto maps, and that's how they track the stars. That's a theory, at least. But the cool part about Machu Picchu is, there's like that mountain in the back. You see the tourist pictures
Yeah.
there, and there's that mountain in the back. People actually lived up there.
Yeah, you can climb up there.
Like the most holy people.
Bananas.
Yeah, you have to reserve it though, because they have
yeah,
a
it's a
huge
big
wait
deal.
list.
What's
But
a big
that's
deal? Like I saw people climbing up there, and I'm like, how do I get over there?
one thing you may not have noticed though is that there's also on the two sides of that two other mountains, and then behind where the tourist person would be taking a picture is another mountain, and it actually forms a perfect northeast southwest compass
Oh,
Yeah,
aligned with the actual stars.
amazing.
Insane.
and that has to do with aliens. Why?
Well, gosh, have you been there? There's still running water there. Like, what?
They just did a good job. It's not that big of a deal.
Dude, it is a big deal. It's a mystery. No one knows how it was created.
No one needs to know. It just
Yeah.
happened. And
Right.
maybe it was just people that were just woke.
Christopher Ryan would not be happy that you're calling it aliens.
Yeah.
Christopher Ryan's like, just give the people some
Yeah,
credit.
dude, they were fucking
They were just super smart.
They just figured some shit out. Like, I don't understand. It's like, no, there's no way. They were so primitive. They were just like smelling weird and being hairy.
No, it's not
nah,
like
man.
that. No. But we actually did go hike the bigger mountain on the backside, and the stairs. Some of them are. There's these theories that they were like the Aztecs back then were actual
Tiny?
giants.
Oh.
No,
Yeah,
giant.
there's some theories.
So there's
about it, yeah.
stairs that are like huge. Like you have to really it's like a double stair for a normal sized human. But then they like
They probably just had
crossbred
good
with.
They had good hip mobility too.
Yeah, probably.
That's important.
They're giants. I'm gonna stick
They're-
with
they're
giants.
giants and
Alien
aliens.
giants.
Aliens
Alien
and-
giants.
Great, fantastic.
Like it.
I don't know.
That's why
I
they
think
got
we're
that big corn.
No, but we definitely we don't give I don't think we give the
Yeah.
ancient fucking people enough credit to just have figured things out. Like there's no like the alien thing. Maybe it could be true. I mean,
Why is it all aligned to the stars then? That's the question.
why not?
Because they can look at the stars. That was one thing they had.
Yeah, they could look at the
True.
stars all the time. They weren't distracted by
But
the
they're
real
like-
world or Westworld. I mean,
So you don't think it came from another planet or star system?
No.
man, we all came from
What?
starship.
How do you know that?
Everybody's from a different
Yeah,
planet.
like what do you think? Like what do you think this is?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Like,
Just
come on.
trying to figure it out
It doesn't
daily.
have to be- it doesn't have to be- like that's just, I feel like I don't know, dude. Getting this thing's like, well, at the alien thing, it's like I just give again. I don't know if I can give myself enough. I don't know if it's worth the energy that I would put into actually giving a fuck about that. I just can't. I'm like, maybe that's cool. When I die, I'll probably figure it out, and my divine consciousness will merge into some cosmic pool of whatever, and then I'll know. But right now, I'm just like, I'm totally content not knowing and exploring my inner universe.
Oh, I'm like fascinated by stuff like that. Ancient technologies, ancient cities, like so cool.
Yeah, I'm
Actually,
into it, but I still think it was aliens.
A dude from the Realness, that really awesome guy that's part of the group, and his name, who left us the book.
Oh yeah. Rob, no, I
No.
forget his name. Sorry.
He's an amazing dancer. If you're listening right now,
He is an amazing dancer.
and I can't think of your name. He left us his book called
His name's
1490.
Paul.
Paul?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the name. Anyway, amazing dancer was
Sorry,
here for
Paul.
South by Southwest, and he left us both. Did he leave you both the book? And it's called 1491. I started reading it when I went to Cuba, and it basically
I
is
read that.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
It's so
it's about the year before Columbus.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like this idea in our modern history that like nobody was here. Columbus landed, boom, all these people, and they were like,
Columbus was a piece of
actually,
shit.
there was a lot of people
There's a
here,
lot
and they
going on.
didn't even really pull out swords. They just killed everybody because they had smallpox and some
The diseases.
cholera and.
Well, they usually cut people's hands off for not filling up buckets with enough gold and shit.
Well,
It
it
was
was
fucked
like
up.
That's a minor
they
part
killed
of
like
it.
80% of the population died because of
for
disease.
sickness.
80% of
man.
the whole population of North and South of the
insane.
Americas. It was
Ugh,
the
so gross.
craziest.
But we are the survivors.
Are we?
So we're
Congratulations.
strongish.
We survived all the plagues.
It's true.
Good
Like, think
job,
about
gut
it.
biome.
Your ancestors survived.
I know.
We were talking about that yesterday. Your ancestors survived to get you here.
That's the only reason. I'm so narcissistic that I think my only reason my ancestors existed was for me.
Well, they did really. I
No.
mean, that's
They
the,
did.
that's the whole point of humanity is to push on your stuff. So
It's true.
I mean, in the end,
It's
it
in your
really is
DNA.
only about that.
It's in your
People like to
DNA.
make it a lot more complicated, and really, we're just like
the
little computer humans that are like, watch this. How much farther can we make it?
One more.
One more,
generation.
dude.
One more cycle.
But then I don't know. Sometimes I wish the Earth would get more pissed. I feel like the
Oh,
reason
don't
that
worry.
no, it's
Think
funny
it's
because we look at
coming.
this and it's like we look at this whole
Hang
thing and
on
it's like
tight.
And when it
I-
does, you
I'm-
can blame God.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll go
on
back to
record
this.
saying that there's way too many people on the planet and it's a problem.
Oh, it will happen.
And no, it's like the Earth's gonna, and the thing about it is, I think if we don't respect the planet enough, because the planet doesn't get pissed enough, right? You keep
Well,
pushing it, and pushing
Don't
it.
call
and
that
it's
in.
It's just
Take it back,
I'm
take it
talking
back.
about we need a major earthquake, maybe a volcano and an
definitely
earthquake at the
don't.
same time. I would like to see a volcano, tsunami, earthquake combo,
No.
and then people be like, "God damn!" And then,
What's wrong
then
with
we
He's
you?
figure
like
it out.
50 years after
That's
I'm
like
dead.
literally millions of people dying.
No,
Well, the whole thing
no,
is
I mean,
something's
maybe.
going to happen. I
Something's
mean, it's
gonna
either
happen.
going to be a global situation, or I really think it's either going to be us fighting and somebody's going to blow up a nuke or two, which will take out a lot of people, or I really think it's going to be some giant disease is going to sweep the world again.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
still-
sad,
that's nature.
the
That's
sad
nature in some way.
reality is it's going to kill a lot more poor people than it does rich people, because the rich people are going to just say, "Hey, we're going to go over here with all the medicine," and say, "Screw all those people." 'Cause
Dude, that's
what-
actually true.
That's what happens
Yeah.
every time.
That's
As
why
long as
natural
it's-
disasters are better because they don't discriminate.
As long
Volcanoes
as-
will kill everyone no matter what.
Dude, as long as it's not zombies.
No, because they'll just get in the helicopters.
No, I don't
it's
think you have a
true.
choice. No, I don't think so.
I
don't
used
think
to
that
work
works
for a
that way.
super rich dude, and he had his escape plan already, only for him and his family ready.
Did
but
he
like
have
I'm
like a
talking billionaire.
moon pod or something? Some weird thing out in the ocean? I had
No,
a
no,
friend that
no.
had like had some weird yacht that was parked somewhere in the ocean, and they had this like whole evacuation plan,
Oh,
and
they
they were
actually
going to go
do.
to this like boat that could sustain them for like an insane amount of time.
That
It's
sounds,
a rich dude
yeah.
from Austin who has that, just so you know.
I'm gonna find him. Dude, it was funny.
I was like, do I
don't
get
know
to
if-
go?
I don't know
I'll
if I told
cook
the
you some
story
food.
on my podcast before, but it's like I was watching Inglourious Bastards. Love that movie. And when Favre the Bear Jew like beats the shit out of that the Nazi general.
Oh yeah.
I love that whole scene, and I was like, and for whatever reason, I was deep into just thinking about our human capacity for like violence and terrible things, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's well within my like capacity as a human being to do that, like in the same scenario, in the same place, with the same background, with the same kind of oppression that those guys had been through and what they'd seen. I could do that without a problem. I could blow up a movie theater. We talked about this. I think we talked about it on the show a while back. But it's like all those things could happen. It's like without even thinking twice about it. It's fucking wild.
I have a
And then
friend.
it's like we had this human capacity for like doing crazy shit. and we live we live very nerf lives. Not that we need to get
Completely.
that aggressive and that violent, but there is like a point of like letting yourself like looking at what human beings are capable of. It's fucking
Well, and
True,
stuff
but
goes real,
huge, though.
but if
That's
stuff goes
scary.
real sideways, I mean, you'll see that happen real
Yeah,
fast. I
what-
mean, that's why what was the zombie show that was so
Walking
good?
Dead.
Walking Dead was so
Heck
interesting
yeah.
because you kind of look at it and go like, what would really happen
Yeah,
if
what
shit
would I do?
hit the
Yeah,
fan
well,
on
that's-
that level? Like some people would go berserker, and some people would pull out a gun and shoot themselves in the head because they couldn't
That happened.
handle it.
Have you read The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
Uh-uh.
Fucking
Is it good?
incredible book.
Oh.
Oh my god,
Add
such a
it to
good
my-
book.
Wait, hold on. I have another fun fact.
Oh my god.
Before we move
Peruvian
on.
fact?
No, this is
Oh.
a German fact.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has some of Hitler's dishware. Like actually, but this is a secret. I can't
That
tell you
is
who because they are
weird.
not supposed to have it.
Where did they get it?
His great grandfather was in the war, like literally did the raid to get Hitler, and took
What?
some of the dishery from his house.
Of course you did.
Whoa.
But it was secret.
I would love to eat cereal out of like a Hitler's
It wasn't
bowl.
me. It was a friend of.
You
mine.
have it, don't you?
No,
You're totally.
no. I wouldn't want that around. Ugh.
It was funny. I saw an ad. I saw a
vibes,
video
bro.
somewhere the other day, and it was like getting rid of your Nazi memorabilia. Nazi memorabilia is harder than you think. Like being able to sell that stuff, like you have it around. It's like I don't know, man. Let's get this out of my house. Like, I don't want these like
Oh, yeah,
Nazi.
bad
You
vibes.
posted it on Craigslist. People just show up at your house. You're like, never mind.
Like who do you sell this to?
Yeah, you're-
It's like,
I don't
yeah,
want you at my house. Never
No.
mind. I'll leave it on the corner.
I don't
It's
want you
like-
to have this. I changed my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. About you in this uniform is weird. I don't know. This is strange.
Dude, yeah.
God, I don't
Any
know though. Yeah,
hoodles.
we have the capacity for some crazy shit. But in that when if things do go down, it's like Nietzsche says this. I think it's how you say it. Nietzsche, whatever. It's all spelled weird.
Yeah.
But it's are you good or are you scared?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a lot of times like, we just behave ourselves because we're scared of consequences versus being morally in tune.
Yeah.
And that's really funny because it's like, okay, well, if shit does go down, and the whole reason I was bringing this up is because we had a big storm rolling through in a hurricane, and my mom hit me up and was like, hey, do you have enough food to make it through like a couple days in case like you can't get to the store? And I'm like, first off, it's just fucking rain. Everything's gonna be fine. And I was like, second, my smart ass response was, no, it's okay if I run out of food, I'll just kill my neighbors and take theirs. And then
Oh my
and then
God.
she was like, Jesus Christ, Connor. And I was like, yeah, I know. And then, but then I thought it was a funny joke. And then that night that was the night that I watched. It was raining outside, so I watched
Inglourious.
Inglourious Bastards, and I was like, actually,
Oh.
I could do that. if I had to,
Dude, you
I
could.
probably would. Wow, that's kind of fucked up.
You would be scary AF if he was coming at you with a bat or something, or like
Run away.
I'd be like, you literally are like a warrior, dude.
I'm pretty
You're
scary
like a
anyways.
300 warrior.
Am I?
Ooh,
Yeah,
love
100.
that movie.
Yeah, they were all pretty short though.
I don't think so.
Mm.
Not in my mind.
Not in my fantasy.
God damn. Dude, I wonder what that feels like to go into something like that as a warrior, like that warrior mentality of like going. Because that's the
Gosh,
thing
I
is like,
don't know.
I think how important. I think there's something really important about life when it's like, okay, so we have selfish genes and we have these genes that want to. Our whole kind of thing is to create more life and to keep this whole thing going. But at the end of the day, the idea that having is so romantic and beautiful to have something that you would fucking die for
Oh,
is so
yeah.
important, especially as like a masculine expression. Like going in
bet.
300 people versus the Persians and that whole. I mean, it's been Hollywooded up, but this real actual story is fucking
It's
incredible.
crazy. Yeah.
And it's like they knew they were probably not going to come back, and that's happened. That story, that like archetype, is played out over and over again because it's fucking incredible. It's like these, like the honor of soldiers. Like even think of Japanese soldiers and kamikaze pilots, like not thinking twice. You know, it's wild. And sometimes I think everybody needs to find something to die for. And they not to die for, but that they would die for.
I think everyone needs to find something to live for.
Nah, but
Our
that's-
good
it's a
friend Mark
different-
England would be like, "What's your vocabulary version of that?"
Yeah.
Well, that's that.
No, but there is. That's something that's like, yeah, this is. It's just different when you frame it differently. It gets very serious.
I have a friend who said, "It's easy to die for something, but it's not so easy to live for something."
And that person is relanguaging in a very soft way.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was a profound moment in my reflection upon what is life.
I don't think that seems like the least profound thing.
It's
anybody's
true
ever
though.
said.
Living's hard sometimes, yo. You gotta like stretch and
Well,
bend in all kinds
I'm
of
not
ways.
actually gonna die for this podcast, probably.
But you're gonna live for
But
it.
I
And that's
could.
a lot
but
harder.
is it?
It's a lot more work.
Because if you that's the thing is like if you're somebody, you know, if you're doing something, you're fully invested into something. It's like, no, I really fucking believe in what I'm doing, and that may be a 300 soldier, that may be creating dope content that helps people live better lives. Like, it's all this thing is like, would you? Oh, if somebody says, oh yeah, would you die for it? If somebody says that and puts it in that perspective, like, would you? That's a fucking serious statement.
That is
right?
a serious question.
Because it's really, really heavy, and it's like, well, okay, so here's a hypothetical. This is a thought experiment. Someone says, okay, I see what you're doing here. This is cool. I think it's, obviously you care about this. And somebody gave you this ultimatum in some weird, like, fucked up, like, Saw style game where it's like, all right, you can do this for 3 more years, and then you die.
Yeah.
That's it. Or you can not do it and live however long.
Yeah.
And someone's like, and you're like, if you're doing something when you're like, okay, fuck, I can do this for 3 more years and that's it. But I get to, like, that's me. I get to create, like, I have an end date. I'm gonna fucking hustle. Or I get to just, like, leave it aside and go work at fucking Costco. But it's like,
are they gonna make you work at Costco? Because that actually, I might actually kill myself.
But it's a funny.
Costco on Sunday.
Oh,
Ooh.
talk about the dark side of humanity.
Talk
No,
about
I
the
can't
best,
push cards,
The
dude.
best place to judge people's buying is just to
Man.
walk around Costco and just be like, "What are you doing?"
Truth.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
have you read that book, A Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
Mhm.
Viktor
Yeah.
Frankl.
I've not.
Sure.
So
have.
that kind of goes back to what she's saying, though, is like, as that is a level of strength, but there is a hell of a lot of strength in you are in a terrible situation that you don't know. He was in the concentration camps on
Next
terrible,
level.
next level. And how do you keep for years showing up and not dying every day because you think there's a glimmer of a possibility you might not die? Like, most people died because most people gave up.
Yeah.
Most people were like, this ain't worth it. And I'll tell you real fast, I've thought about that and been like, they would have called me, I would have been like, bye.
Yeah.
Nice knowing myself. Like, I would have just ran into that fence and got electrocuted. Like, I mean, trying to go for years and trying to create, and find meaning and growth and love even in those darkest times, I actually think is much harder than, like, giving your life up for something you really love
100%.
Yeah.
than it is, like, going through a super tough time and trying to still stay in the headspace that there's a lesson in every single thing. I mean, and he was a philosopher going in, and he was like, this is the biggest test I'm ever going to have in my life.
Yeah.
Ready? Can I really put in place everything that I've taught everybody? I mean, that's...
Talk
You
about
haven't-
the ultimate test.
Oh, man.
Ooh, wee, no.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
If you
Lord.
haven't listened to that book or read it, it's one of those that...
It's a classic.
It's a...
It's a must read.
Yeah.
It's a piece of humanity.
It is. Everybody loves it.
Everybody.
Everybody's
Classic.
talking about it.
Is everybody?
I actually got a copy. I think
Everybody?
everybody's talking about it. Everybody loves that book.
Every-
I've never heard anybody talk about that book and go,
Amazon
like,
best-selling
okay.
author. Does anybody know how you get to call yourself a best-selling author?
Yeah.
Because I actually think do you just call yourself a best-selling author?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
No.
that's the move.
There's a whole process. Mike Koenig teaches it. It's called Publish and Profit.
I know,
That's
but
how you get to be an Amazon
Oh my God,
bestseller.
y'all-
I
You
know,
need
but some
catchphrases.
people just say best-selling
True.
author and don't say Amazon, and so I really think like half the. Are you the best-selling
They-
author
Whoa, whoa,
of this
whoa.
weird tiny
Time out.
category?
Time out,
Yeah,
because that's what happens. That's like
It's
Lewis
so
House saying that he
dumb.
plays professional football. Bro, you played an arena league ball. That's a different thing. You're misleading people. Sorry, I'm putting him on blast. I think it's fucking bullshit. You did not
Ooh,
play professional football. You
For the
played
NFL.
arena league ball. It's a different thing. The professional football is the NF motherfucking L, not the
Period.
CFL, not arena ball. The NFL. That means you played for the Titans or the Cowboys or the Chargers or the Browns or some other team that played those teams, or you didn't play.
Well, he was
Sorry.
a professional athlete.
No.
Yeah.
He was a
was.
professional athlete. That's different than saying you played professional football.
He was a professional athlete that played football. How about that?
It was not football. It's
Try that
arena
on.
league. It's not the same thing.
Try that
It's
on
not the
for
same
size.
thing. That's like
now
me
he's
saying-
not.
it's
So
like me
now he's
saying-
just
it's me
rolling in
saying-
beds of money.
Yeah, he's fucking
With his
stacking
cute
cash.
girlfriend.
But say,
I love her.
That he is that, and he's hustling, and I'm fucking like what he does. Besides that part, it's like it's really funny. I'm like, dude, what? That's the thing about ownership. It's like own what you are. I played college football. Caveat: at a Division III school, which always follows when I say I played college football, at the smallest, least significant kind of college that you can play fucking football at.
Yeah.
And
Is there
I own
some?
that because it's fine.
Is there some envy going on here, Connor?
No, there's not any envy going on.
Connor
None?
doesn't like it
Zero?
when people aren't real.
I don't like when people are full of shit.
Well, I don't think Lewis is full of shit.
I don't think he is either, but that statement is misleading.
I like Lewis Howes and I love Jen.
I like Jen.
I think
Jen
Jen is
is
great.
legit. If you don't
I don't know.
Jen,
She's
I can't.
rad.
Honestly, for me to sit here and not say something about that would have been very inauthentic because that really.
well, yeah, that's why
works
it's
me
called
up.
the realness.com.
But I'm telling you, the same thing is
therealness.com.
the best-selling author thing because there's
Yeah.
not that many best-selling. And what is best-selling? What does that mean?
What does that even mean?
It's a bit manipulative the way some people use
Best-selling
it.
author?
It is.
I'm like on
But-
some subcategory that nobody searches. You're in the top 50?
Did you
what
know
is that?
this? New York Times bestselling author, those are paid spots.
I know.
Yeah, they're paid
I
spots.
People
did.
buy their own spots.
You can buy. You
That's
buy
jacked,
best-selling. Yeah.
y'all. What kind of world are we living in when
I
the
can't
top
even. I
people
feel weird
bought
about
their
that.
way there?
Yeah. Oh no. It's all perception. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's banana
strange.
sandwich, unless
But
you're
then
J.K. Rowling,
every now
and
and
you're
then-
rolling in dough
Literally.
JK was stacking
and magic
cash.
wands.
Yeah. Golly, man. Yeah, well, it is funny though. It is funny to see like I can't even look at the world anymore the same when I've seen behind so many of these different
It's true.
perspectives. I'm like, fuck, man, that's not even real. It's not
No,
even
it's
real.
all
Like the best selling
manufactured.
the best selling author thing. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Book mills buy most of those books. It's
It's like
fucking
even
weird.
it's like reality TV, but for publishing.
It is.
Totally.
Oh wow. Yeah, it very much is.
Everything's reality TV that's produced.
Yeah.
Hello. That's why we all have
Yeah.
jobs.
I know.
Hate that shit. Oh, just
Hello.
kidding.
Oh, wait a minute. That's what I've been doing.
That's
for
what I do.
The reality
Oh, yeah.
show of
Oh, yeah.
God,
Oh,
dude.
y'all.
It's a podcast reality show.
Yeah, you know,
God.
this the real.
This podcast world is a fun one.
I don't get, I mean, geez. Anyone can be their own radio caster is what it is to me. Like, just how I tell everybody on YouTube, anybody can have their own TV show. Podcasting is like, you get to be your own radio host. And you
Yep.
can pretend you're flying a plane the whole time.
only on that. Now,
You're like,
Liz
we're
makes that
going on a
reference 'cause
journey.
We wear headsets. We wear full on headsets with
Yeah,
mics,
dude.
and we look
I
like
actually like
I feel like I'm like,
celebrities.
breaker, coming in hot
that's literally not
on
how that
aisle
would happen.
7, also known
You're
as.
coming in hot on aisle 7. Y'all are so weird. All right, y'all want to get back to the conference? Let's get out
Yes,
of here.
please.
Thanks
Okay.
for hanging out, guys.
Let's
Where can
roll.
everybody find y'all on social media?
Bye.
Don't
Oh.
know we're not leaving yet. Not there yet. God
What?
damn it! Tell
Where
me where to
can-
find. What's your Instagram handle?
Alli ALLIWADDELL on the Instagram
Boom.
or the Facebook.
LizGermain.com. LIZGERMAIN.
.com. Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all. We'll see y'all in like right after this podcast.
Bye.
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 Just there, just living in their world. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the re-listen to this thing. Guys, if you love the show, please head over to iTunes, give it a 5-star review. And if you want to work with me or take part in the Realness Retreat that is coming up August 10th, and that is 2018, if you're listening to this in the future, August 10th through the 12th, 2018 in Austin, Texas, go to gettherealness.com. That's where you're going to find all the info. We got journals, we got retreats, we got lifestyle design work, one-on-one. Get yourself right. Find that authentic self deep down that's been buried by all the bullshit that life's handed you, and bring that motherfucker to the surface and start crushing life. That's what we try to do, guys. That's what lifestyle design is all about. That's what the intention journal is all about. That's what the fucking realness retreat is all about. That's what this podcast is all about. It's just living this life to the fullest. I hope you're doing that. I hope you do that all week. I love the hell out of all of you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see y'all next time. Peace.